In this lesson, we are going to take a look at what makes concordance databases truly stand out, and that is its capabilities with searching. Because concordance deals with straight text information in a fielded format, the searching of a database is extremely fast and flexible. Now, there are basically three ways to perform a search in concordance, and we'll go over each one. Let's start first by bringing back that hidden tab that we have here on the left and pull up the search section. That's this section here with the icon that looks like a pair of binoculars. And as you can see from this screen, there are several options available. There's the simple search, form search, and advanced search. The simple search, let's take a look at that first. It's fairly straightforward. As you can see, there are 4 boxes where words can be inputted. This is perfect if you're running a simple keyword search. You can place it in the box of with all of the words, and you get a result of records that contain all words that you have put into this box. So for instance, if I type in the words Utah security, I'll get back 4 hits. That means that there are 4 records that contain both the word Utah and security. The next box here allows you to search for words of the exact phrase. So using Utah and security again as an example, I'll go ahead and just put in Utah security. And this time, if I hit the search button, I'll get back just 1 record. And that's because this is the only record within the database that contains the exact phrase Utah security, one after the other. So while previously on our search with all of the words, Utah security brought back 4 records, the third box here works like an OR statement. This with at least one of the words. If I put in Utah security again as the example, hit this search button, I now have 9 records. I can see now that I'm looking at document 1 of 9 records because there are 9 records total that contain only the word security or only the word Utah or both. And finally, this last box is the equivalent of the NOT statement. This search will exclude any documents that contain the words specified. So by putting in Utah security here and then clicking on the search button, our results now is 16 records. That's the number of records that do not contain the word Utah or security, meaning we are excluding these 2 words that are within this box here. So as you can see, for fairly straightforward Boolean searches, the simple search should be sufficient for most needs. Of course, while simple search is great for searching specific keywords, sometimes a bit more narrowing of the documents is required, and form search is the best tool for doing so, especially if you are not familiar with Concordance's search syntax. When you click on the form search option, a new screen appears. This screen allows you to run various searching options. This same menu that we are looking at now can actually also be brought up through the search menu at the top of the screen. Let's go and take a look at that. So I can bring up this same menu by going to Search, Form Search, and as you notice, you can also bring it up using the F4 key on your keyboard. Form Search allows you to build a complex search one step at a time. All you have to do is select the options according to these fields. All fields in the database are listed under this second column here. All I have to do is click on this drop-down menu, and I now have a list of all the fields available in the database to be selected. Or instead of selecting a specific field, I can also simply leave the field as any full text to search all fields at the same time. In this case, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to click on this drop down and go down to OCR1 full text. Then the next column contains the operators that can be used for searching. Depending on the field chosen, this list of operators here will change. For instance, by choosing this OCR1 full text field on the left-hand side here, my list of operators now includes contains, begins with, equals, greater than, less than, so on and so forth. Each of these operators help to create some limit that can be applied to the search. For this demo, I'll go ahead and stick with the contains operator for now. Now within this DVD, you'll find a PDF file which explains in more detail the function of each of these operators. While most searching can probably be accomplished using the common Booleans, a thorough understanding of these individual operators will greatly improve your searching capabilities within Concordance. The next column we're looking at here under Look For is where you can actually enter your text for searching. Here I'll use the example of Utah. And now on the next line, I can continue to add to this first current search simply by using this column of connectors. The connectors basically specify how the various queries, these separate rows, should function together. Clicking on this drop-down menu, you can see that there are a variety of connections. In addition to the usual and, not, and or statements, we also have the adjacent and near statements. Again, the PDF that is included on this DVD explains in more detail how these connectors function. For now, I'm going to go ahead and use the AND connector, which combines this previous line to this new line of search criteria that I'm going to use. For this second line of criteria, I'm going to go ahead and choose the OCR field again. And the look here now will also leave as the contain operator. And under the look for field, we're going to go ahead and put in our original sample, security. And this time I'll hit search. And as you can see, the search now finishes and gives me a display of the number of documents found. Keep in mind that we are running this search of the words Utah and security, both of these words appearing in the OCR1 field. Now previously in our simple search, we simply ran Utah and security together, found in any fields within the database. Here we're using our form search to limit it into the OCR field only. In this gray box here within the form search lists the information about how many documents were found and the number of hits found within each document. One additional item you'll notice about the form search is that not only will it give you the results, but it also provides the concordance syntax that was used. Here we can see that searching for a specific field can be denoted by a period surrounding that field name, just as we have here .ocr1. This is a simple way to learn to type the needed concordance syntax quickly. We'll come back to how this can be used for quicker searching in just a moment. For now, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Done button. And as you can see, I now have the 3 records that we just searched for displayed on my browse view. And the highlighted terms of Utah security are shown in red, just like a regular search would. The next option we'll look at is this advanced search option here. As you can see, the advanced search is really just one large text box. The idea of an advanced search is to take away all limitations, so how simple or complex the search is will depend on the query that you want to build. I can simply type in a keyword here, for instance, again let's use Utah, and hit my enter key. That gives me the 4 documents that contain the word Utah. Or as another example, I can go ahead and type in the word security and hit my enter key again. Or instead of hitting my enter key, I could have also hit this search button here. And as you can see, that brings back my search result of 9 documents that contain the word security. And I can also combine the searches, just as I did with using the form search. I'm going to go ahead and do Utah and security. And run the search again, and I get back the 4 documents which contains both terms. Now in addition to this free-form text box here for searching, you can see that the advanced search also has several other options. This first option allows me to choose whether or not I want to search just within the text database that we're looking at now, or search within just the notes database, which means only that the notes created on this database will be searched and all text will be ignored. As you can see, the default is to search both the database and the notes. Right underneath that is an option to display the database dictionary. When I click on this option, I'll be given a list of all the words that exist in the database. so that I can choose a specific word just by going through this entire list for my searching purposes. In addition to the database dictionary, is also a list of available fields. By clicking on this option, I bring up a list of fields that I can also choose from. And finally, this last option allows me to use the fuzzy search option. This option basically allows me to search not just the keywords in the box, but also any other words that might be close to this keyword, maybe due to misspellings or poor OCR. So for instance, if we put in the word security, and I'm going to go ahead and click on this fuzzy word option, and as you can see, it brings up a potential list of not just security, but also secretary. And of course, right below that, we have the results menu, which lets you see how many hits and documents resulted from your term. Now, outside of these extra options of searching just the notes database or the entire database, or searching via fuzzy words, etc., this advanced search is actually quite similar to the search menu that's at the top of your screen here. This quick search box that we're looking at is an easy search option if you're already familiar with Concordance's searching, or if you have a very straightforward keyword search. Anything that you input into what we've just used, either the simple search, the form search, or the advanced search, can be typed directly into this quick search bar. For instance, for the advanced search that was just done, I can put in Utah and security and just hit the enter key. And as you can see, the search is run and I get back my 4 documents. Hitting my enter key is the same thing as clicking on this execute search button that's on the far right of the screen. Now, remember how we were looking at the syntax that was generated by the form search screen earlier? For instance, if I go to search, form search, and this time I'm going to go ahead again, choose the OCR field, and leave my operator as contains, and then type in the word Utah and hit the search button. I now have the syntax that's available for searching the OCR field for the particular word Utah. In this way, I can now learn that this syntax is what needs to be typed anytime I want to find a particular word within this field of OCR1, or any other field for that matter. So now, knowing this syntax, I can make use of it in this quick search bar. Let's click on this done and get rid of the form search screen and go back to the screen here. So here I've typed in the same syntax of utah.ocr1 dot. Now instead of Utah, maybe I want to search for the word security in the OCR field. So I simply replace it, and again hit the enter key to execute the search. And now I get back my 8 documents with the word security in it. In this way, we can quickly learn about Concordance's searching and go directly to the quick search bar, which makes searching documents that much more faster. These 4 options, the quick search bar, the simple search, the form search, and the advanced search, makes up the searching options available to you in Concordance 2007. Once you have looked through the search syntax descriptions in the provided PDF, you should be able to perform any number of complex searches in Concordance to help you quickly find the documents you want. Now, before we leave the subject of searching, there are a few related items that I want to take you through. First, let's take a look at the document number display at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen here. In the lesson on Browse and Table View, we talked about how the document numbers show up here, and how the first number indicates the record that you're currently viewing, the last number being the total records in your current view, and the bracketed number is the original location number. And here's what we mean by original location number. In this search of just the word security, I have 8 documents. This means that this number 1 is the first document out of 8 total that match the search I just made. This last number here means that there are a total of 8 documents in my search result. And this bracketed number of 6 means that this document that I'm currently looking at is actually document number 6 in the entire database. Meaning that if I had not ran the search and I'm just looking at the entire 25 record database, this current record would be number 6. This is a way for you to easily identify where within your original population your search results came from. I can more easily see this by clicking on this button here at the very top, this All button. Notice that when I click this All button, I can temporarily see all the records of the database again, and the text information switches. I now can see that I'm actually looking at document 6 of 25. Clicking on the All button again brings me back to my search screen. I can now only see just the documents that contain my search result. Again, this is all to help you better identify the location of your search results in comparison to the entire database of records. Now, another button related to the search menu that I'd like to go over is right next to this All button, which is the Review button. That's this button here that looks like a double magnifying glass. Concordance actually keeps track of all your searches in this session, and they are visible via the Review screen, which is activated by this Review button. Here you can see a list of all the searches that we've made during this tutorial. Each search, as you can see, is assigned a search number. The next column shows the number of hits, and the next column shows the number of documents in that result. And your search terms that was used to retrieve those results are shown in this search terms column. If I wanted to rerun any of these previous searches that were made during this entire session, all I would have to do is double click on one, and that search will be relaunched. So for instance, if I wanted to rerun the Utah and security screen, I can simply double click on it, and now I have my one of 4 documents again. And what's more, if we have this review screen open, we can actually make use of these search numbers to run more complex searches. For instance, if I wanted to get everything that contained Utah but not the word security, I can simply combine search number 8 and 9. So for instance, my search syntax at this screen here would be 8 not 9, and run the result. And as you can see, there are no records within this database that contains the word Utah but without the word security. Just by entering the numbers 8 not 9, I've essentially told Concordance to take my search result from search 8 and exclude my search result from search 9. This review screen basically allows the search numbers to be a shortcut for your search syntax. Now, if you're familiar with the previous versions of Concordance, you might remember that this search number use is true regardless if you've got the review window open. But in Concordance 2007, the search numbers will only be active if the review screen is open. All other times, a number in the search window will simply be a number. And if you have the search review screen open and want to actually search for a number, that number will have to be placed in quotes. So for instance, if I simply type in the number 12 and hit my enter key, I'm basically bringing up search result number 12. If I wanted to actually search for the number 12, I'll have to put that in quotes. And as you can see now, my search result is actually based on the number 12. Whereas if I had done it without quotes, search 12 would have been activated, and I would actually be searching for the word Utah. This review screen that we're looking at is actually very handy for reviewing the previous searches made and keeping track of what has been done so far. However, this list that we're looking at only remains for the duration of your Concordance session. If we close out of the database, this list will refresh itself. To avoid losing your search and using it in the future, you have to save your search list. And that is done by going to the Search, Save All Queries option. Once that option is selected, you'll be prompted to save the query somewhere on your computer. All we have to do is browse to that location. Here I'm going to put it under my demo folder. And I'll call this Test Queries. And once I click on this Save button, this testqueries.qry file will be saved onto my computer. And if we go back to Windows for a second, you can see now I have a testquery.qry file on my computer. This QRY file contains the entire list of searches that we just did during this exercise. Now, in order to demonstrate how this test query can be called back up, I'm going to go ahead and just clear out this entire search list here. So I'll go to Search, Clear Search History. And as you can see now, the only thing left is this search 0, which is a default search result that represents the entire record set of this database. So now I'm going to assume that we've now left the database and are coming back a week later, perhaps a month later, and I want to continue where I've just left off. So all I have to do is go up to Search, Execute Saved Searches, and once again I'll be brought up to a browse screen where I can browse to my QRY file, and this brings me back to my demo directory. I'll select my test queries like QRY and then click on this Open button. And as you can see, the entire search list is back in my review screen. In this way, all of my searches for review can be saved and brought back anytime. Searches can even be shared among colleagues if the QRY files are placed in a search location on your network. And keep in mind that this search list is actually dynamic. When I open up this QRY file, what Concordance is actually doing is rerunning each one of these searches across the entire database. That means if this database has been updated with any new records, these number of hits and also number of documents will also be updated with the latest number of records. And so in that way, saving search queries is a little different from saving tagged documents. Whereas tagged documents are static, search queries are dynamic. Now there's one other way of saving queries that I want to talk about, and that's called the Snapshot option. The Snapshot option, which is located under File, Snapshot, is a way for you to save a snapshot of exactly what you are doing at this moment and be able to come back to it to the exact same place a week from now or 2 weeks from now or a month from now. To demonstrate, let me just go back to my browse screen for a moment. And as you can see here, I am on document 1 of 4, so let me just move on to document 3. And with document 3, let me just lower the screen to my keyword area, which is this Utah highlighted in red. Now, instead of saving a query, I'm going to go ahead and save a snapshot. I'm going to go to File, Snapshot, Save Snapshot. And again, I get a browse screen where I can save a name of the snapshot. And for that, I'm just going to go ahead and call this test snapshot.snp. And now I'll click the Save button. And I have a snapshot saved. If we go back to my Windows file, here's the new snapshot file, which is test snapshot.snp. Now here's where the snapshot comes in handy. What I'm going to go ahead and do is close out this database. And I'm going to go ahead and relaunch the database again. And as you can see, I'm now back to my full 25 document set. And when we look at the review screen, all my previous reviews were done. Now the snapshot, once I activate it, will not only bring back my review queries, but also take me back to the exact document that we just left, which was document 3. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to File, Snapshot, Restore Snapshot, and now I'm going to browse to that file that we just saved, test snapshot.snp, and click on the Open button. And as you can see, I'm now back to my original search, which has a result of 4 documents, and remember that we left off on document number 3. So basically I can now continue my review exactly where I left off. And if we go back to the review screen, you can also see that all the searches that we created have also been restored. So a snapshot not only saves your list of queries, but also brings you back to the exact location of where you left off when you first saved the snapshot. In this way, by saving a snapshot somewhere on the network, if I happen to have to walk away from this particular case that I'm working on, I can simply send the snapshot to a colleague of mine, and he or she can open it up and pick up from the document that I actually left off on. It's a convenient way to make sure everybody starts and stops the project on the same page.